Shanti, what's the difference between bliss, happiness, and pleasure?
Yes. People are confused. They say, I want to find peace, I want to find love, I want to find happiness, I want to find pleasure, I want to gain wealth, I want to be famous. Let's understand. Our basic essence is Atman or self. In this chart, you can see that center of our existence is Atman or self. It is covered up with 3 layers. One is layer of consciousness, other one is layer of mind, and third one is layer of the body, and then the layer of possessions, mind, and then ideology of ours, my nation, my religion, my beliefs. So look at this chart. So the idea is to get maximum pleasure, maximum happiness is called bliss. So we have to go inward. Most people go outward in the world, collecting wealth, fame, power, attached to their ideology. They have to go inward to the body, rise above all the sensations, then rise above the thoughts and emotions, and then rise above that into consciousness. And consciousness, when it expands, takes you into the center. When you understand this, what we call happiness or pleasure is actually reflection of Supreme Consciousness. Supreme Consciousness is the powerhouse, is the substratum of everything. Its first reflection comes at consciousness. So whenever you are attuned, when you are in love, when you are one with nature, when you are lost into painting, artwork, then your mind gets into consciousness and you get maximum peace, maximum happiness. So this is called bliss experience or happiness. But when you go further down into astral body, in the thoughts, emotions, and all the experience of senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, that gives you the pleasure. Pleasure is nothing but stimulation. Pleasure is never sustained. It takes lots of effort to attain pleasure, accomplish something that gives you pleasure. Say wealth or fame, power, whatever, takes lots of effort. Then after effect of pleasure, enjoying the pleasure, is pain. Always pleasure ends in the pain. We don't see through that. This is why we run after pleasure. Pleasure runs into pain. Pleasure depends upon outside sources. Outside sources changes, our pleasure is affected. Also, enjoying the pleasure leaves the sanskaras, impression in the mind or craving in the mind. So craving for pleasure, if you enjoyed the pleasure, pleasure is finished, then the memories remain, and that memory haunts you. That is called craving, and craving is suffering. Sanskaras, the deep impression that you become addicted, so you need it more and more. Addiction to smoking, drinking, or any other addiction, you become desensitized, so that even if you have more, you don't get as much effect. Also, all the situations change. Our mental conditions changes. All the conditions change. The same pleasure becomes painful in different condition. Like you are very hungry, meal in front of you, and you hear some bad news, your hunger goes away. So emotional factors also influence you. Now for pleasure. This pleasure is something you cannot rely on, and it is illusion. For example, if pleasure came from eating, at the time of climax of pleasure, what happens is you forget who you are, what you are doing. That means the whole process of eating gets you so much involved that you get to the aha moment when you forget the whole process. So subject, object and process becomes one. This is when you feel that real good feeling, but then goes away, and then it gives you illusion that pleasure came from eating, and same thing applies to all other pleasures. Okay, going further down from sense organs to our possessions. One thing, I get happiness with big car, big house, big boat. Is not as direct. Pleasure of eating, pleasure of sex, pleasure of smell, all these are direct, you can perceive. But you own something is abstract. You own your family members, loved ones, is only attachment of the mind. You cannot eat your house. Even if your biggest house, you sleep in one room, 6 by 6, and once you are asleep, 1/3 of life goes. That is all illusion that I own the house. But further down, illusion of that happiness or pleasure is belonging to some beliefs, ideology, religion, all connection with national pride or whatever, your race, whatever it is. It is so illusory because we are not connected with a race, religion, nothing. It is just conditioning, and we identify with it to fulfill our ego because so many millions of follow certain religion. I belong to that religion. This country is powerful, I belong to that country. All these are illusory, built up of ego. So really, if you want to find happiness, go inside from all the illusion of ideology, all the attachment to things and people, attachment to your body, attachment to sense pleasure, attachment to your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and then go deep into consciousness and feel united. So this is the way to attain it. To do that, you have to be introverted. You can still be in the world, enjoy the pleasure. So there is nothing against enjoying the pleasure. But you become so vast. So pleasure is absorbed within you without disturbing your peace. And pain is also absorbed without causing you pain. So Lord Krishna describes, be like an ocean that doesn't dry out in the summer and doesn't get overflooded in the monsoon. So expand your consciousness, enjoy pleasure and pain, whatever comes, you be in the present. If you are in the present, you can absorb it very easily. Pleasure and pain comes and goes, it's a reality of life. But pleasure becomes imaginary, and becomes more imaginary, you suffer. Pain, if you attach resistance to it, pain becomes suffering. So most of the pleasure and pain are very easy to absorb without disturbing our peace. But when there is attachment to pleasure or attachment to pain, we suffer more. So more and more, remaining at the center, observing pleasure and pain, coming and going, we don't disturb our peace. So the illusion is pleasure comes from the senses, pleasure comes from the world, pleasure comes from the people, pleasure comes from the things. All these are illusion. Really true happiness comes by quieting the mind, being established in the self. And that is the simplest answer. So the next video will talk about how to meditate to find it.